So Ubisoft just announced more layoffs today. 185 people in Ubisoft Reflections, Dusseldorf, and Stockholm. I want to talk about Ubisoft Reflections. And I want to talk about, like, the Ubisoft layoffs kind of hurt the most in a way because at one point, Ubisoft was super creative. They tried crazy things. They made good games. They made weird games. I want to talk about one of those weird games they made because you can't play it anymore because it's Ubisoft, right? So they pull the stuff off the market. It was a single player game too. So like, why? I have no idea. But if you own it, you can still play it, I think. But so Ubisoft Reflections, I got to go visit it once. And the entire time I was there, I think I drove them nuts because I only wanted to talk about one game and one game only. And then one of the guys came out and he was all excited too to talk about it. So they knew they had something special. And it was Driver San Francisco. So I'm going to get this a little bit wrong probably because it's been a while since I've played it. But you're in a hospital and you can't actually drive cars anymore. So your mind takes over people driving cars and you're solving crimes. And that's how you're doing it. You're doing all these missions. But so you have to take over other people's cars. So it'll be like mid them doing something, like mid them on phone conversations, people in the car with them, whatever. All of a sudden you're then doing your other missions. And they're just going on with their conversations like, what the fuck? Like, it is just, oh my God, the conversations are so good. The writing is so good in it. Oh, I think about that game all the time. That's the intro conversations with the Anacrusis of how it picks up like you've already know what the conversation is because you're an adult and you understand how conversations work. So you know they must have talked about this because they're talking about this now. That came from this. That was influenced by this because this just blew me away when it came out, right? Like, you got to remember like how the order of these came out. Driver came out and then Grand Theft Auto 2 came out. Top down still, and you're like, why are they even making these? Drivers so good. Actually, Driver, when you go back, if you ever play the original, has like the second thing you need to do is some test to see if you can drive, and it's really hard. It's a weird choice, but okay. But you're like, oh my God, this is 3D open world. This is Grand Theft Auto. This is so much fun. Like, you didn't know it was Grand Theft Auto, but that's what it become. And then Grand Theft Auto comes out, and you're like, why are they still making Driver? This is just stupid. And then they make Driver San Francisco, and holy shit. Holy shit, is it a good game. It is fun, right? The driving's fun. Like, they nail all of that. And I've talked to a bunch of the writers who worked on this because there's a bunch of writers because there's so much writing in this game because it's giant conversations you're just jumping in the middle of. Oh my God, it's so good. It is so good. If you ever see it anywhere, grab it, pick it up, and play it. Holy hell, is it a good game. Holy hell, is it funny. Holy hell, is it just... You think you know what it's like. You think you're like, oh yeah, that was this Driver. It's just Grand Theft Auto, but you're a ghost. No. It's so good. It's so good. It has a Chevy Volt in it, which is not a good ad for Chevy Volt because it's not a fun car to play. If I had a Chevy Volt, it's a fine car. I won't go in. I almost really went in sidetrack there. Held myself back because I'm telling you, that is a loss. That is a loss. And it's a loss that's not Ubisoft anymore. That they find a formula and now they just milk it dry. And I get it, because they're like, hey, Grand Theft Auto 3, this works. This works. Clint, Grand Theft Auto. Excuse me. Oh my God. I'm not gonna edit. You know what I'm talking about. Far Cry 2. Like, Clint, it was a great, weird experiment. But Far Cry 3 created this way to play that style of game that just really worked and resonated with people. And then they're like, Far Cry 4. Far Cry 5 was the biggest selling one. I went back to play it. I couldn't. But like, then they just keep milking it. Instead of being innovative, right? Like, the Far Cry 1 was a cool, weird, strange game made by Crytek. It is weird. You start a lot of combat between other creatures and stuff and then kind of just watch. And you're the dude in the shirt. If you know, you know. Far Cry 2, they gave to Clint, and Clint did some crazy stuff with it. It does some really interesting things. I wish technology was further on, that they weren't held back by it, so that things that happen in that game kind of hold it back. But it is a weird masterpiece in for its own weirdness. And then Far Cry 3 is different than Far Cry 2. They just weren't doing the same thing. They're mixing it up. Far Cry 4 was a building on Far Cry 3, and Far Cry 5 was just more 4. But this time they decided to have not as good of a story and keep interrupting you to tell you that story. And then Far Cry 6 is just bland. And they got like the biggest actor. But like, I can't tell you any of the voice actors in Driver San Francisco, and there's probably thousands of them because there's so many voices in that game. Very first Ubisoft game I ever played was Zombie. And it was essentially you playing Night of the Living, or Dawn of the Dead. It was bad, it was weird, it was wacky. We couldn't understand it because we had the French version because it was pirated. So hey, we get what we deserve. That was good though. Man, I really hope they can pull this together and get their head out of their ass. Because we need big companies doing big games and weird swings like this. I get people are saying like indies are the future and stuff, and I'll make another video of that's true and not true. But man, seeing Reflection's name on the layoff just hit funny today. That sucks. Sorry again to everybody out there. Not just sorry for everybody who lost their jobs. That really sucks. But also everybody still at those studios trying to make something good under these conditions, and that's got to be hard, man. Just go to the bar tonight. Don't worry about working.